janam no bhavam santana bhavana त्रयोदश आदत अददत तासम यस्ते शीलम अनुव्रता सविदित वाजनम न भवम संतान भावना त्रयोदश अददत तासम यस्ते शीलम अनुव्रता सह दक्षः विदित्वा understanding Atmajanam of the daughters, Naha, our Bhavam, indication, Santana, children, Bhavanaha, well-wisher, Trayodasaha, 13, Adadat, handed over, Tasam, of all of them, Yaha, those who are, Te, your, Silam, behavior, Anuvrata, all faithful. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So Prabhupada ki jai. Our well-wishing father, Daksha, after knowing our intentions, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you. And since then, we have all been faithful. Perfect. Generally, the daughters were too shy to express their opinions before their father. But the father would accept the daughter's intentions through someone else, such as a grandmother to whom the grandchildren had free access. King Daksha collected the opinions of his daughters and thus handed over 13 to Kashyapa. Every one of Diti's sisters was a mother of children. Therefore, since she was equally faithful to the same husband, why should she remain without children? Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swamrupa Kadamayam Dadati Sva Padantikam Vandeham Shiguru Sijuta Padakamalam Shigurum Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanto Namaste Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Bhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavane Bhayo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Sa Vidit Vatma Janam Noha Bhavam Santana Bhavana Trayadas Ada Dat Tasam Yaste Silam Anuvrataha. Our well-wishing father Daksha, after knowing our intentions, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you. And since then, we have all been faithful. So, in this chapter, we see from the previous chapter the appearance of Lord Varaha, the continuation of conversation between Vidur Maharaj and Maitreya Muni, where Vidur Maharaj is still further asking Maitreya Muni to continue on to describe the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, Varhadev, who appeared, and how he killed Hiranyaksha. Now, both those pastimes, as we heard in the previous chapter, happened in a different Manvantara. The appearance of Varhadev appeared in one Manvantara, killing in Swambhava Manvantara, and killing of Hiranyaksha happened in Chakshusha Manvantara. And then Maitreya Muni, in this chapter, he starts describing, and he describes this particular story, narration of how deity, right, was burning the fire of desires of lust, and she approached untimely her husband to fulfill her desires. Right? When her husband was in the sacrificial arena, he had just performed sitting in the yagya, worshipping the Supreme Lord, and he was in trance. And deity during that particular time, sunset time, she's approaching her husband. And we see in the previous verses various reasons she gives that why her husband should yield to her desire and consummate with her. That lust is torturing me, just like now elephant uproots a banyan tree on all the bananas, right? Not the banyan tree, banana tree. He uproots the banana tree. And similarly, this lust is devouring all my senses, and I'm withering away. Right? And I am distressing the opulence of my co-wives who have children. Right? One aspect is if you don't have something, you may be satisfied, but the moment you see that your neighbor has something, or your relative has something, or your friend has something, or your sisters have something, it increases your dissatisfaction. And that's what we see here. That is distressing the opulence of her co-wives, who all had children. She was a daughter of Daksha Prajapati. Daksha and Prasuti had 16 daughters. Of those 16 daughters, he marries 13 daughters to Kashyapa Muni, who's a son of Marichi, grandson of Lord Brahma. Right. And So deity sees that all the other sisters all have children. So why she should be bereft of having a children? And she puts forth that, oh, if you give me qualified children, my fame and your fame will spread all over the world. Right. And she also mentions that not only now, but I was attracted to you even before marriage and had expressed the desire uh, of my preference uh, to my father. This is Vedic times where things were carried out more in regulation, not like the current times where things are more irregulated. There was no pre-association, which in current times is kind of been a norm. Uh, so still, those times, if you have somebody in mind, that desire is expressed uh, to the support system of a family, especially here in this verse, Sri Prabhupada talks about grandmother, where the granddaughter has more free access. And then that inner desire is then expressed and it's forwarded to the father, right? Who then takes necessary action in the selection of the husband. So she mentions that I was attracted to you, and all of our 13 sisters have been equally faithful to you. Not that, oh, uh, one served you more than the others and they are more favorite. All of our 13 sisters are equally faithful to you. So why I should remain bereft? Right? Why I should remain bereft without a child? In that way, she continues in subsequent verses, also expressing her desire. And we see that when these desires are expressed, especially in an untimely time when Kashyapa Muni was in trance, in meditation, in a sacrificial arena. And during that time, when is disturbed, and if he yields to that disturbance, which we see he does, that's the weakness of Kashyapa Muni, where he yields to the desire of his wife. And the result we see is then the birth of these two demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, who ultimately then makes the Supreme Lord appear. Right? The demons were so powerful. Right? And when the progeny happens in such inauspicious times, right? The mother gives birth to demons who then are born with those um, sinful desires from the birth. That's why it's very important in the Vedic system to have proper sanskars, right? To have proper sanskars from the at each and every phase of our life. In, uh, even in our movement, it's recommended to have Garbhadan sanskar, right? There's a sanskar called Garbhadan sanskar that before the husband and wife decides to have progeny, they perform Garbhadan sanskar. The mantras chanted to simplify in ISKCON said, okay, before you decide, you chant 50 rounds. The husband and wife both chant 50 rounds together, right? 50 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that, means your heart is purified. And in that state of consciousness, then the union happens. Otherwise, in a state of passion and ignorance, when the union will happen, it will give rise to children who does not have proper sanskar from the very beginning of their life. And right in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see the result of that. Right. A very nice way Vidur Maharaj is approaching Maitra Muni to reveal this. Right. You described about the appearance of Lord Varaha, but why Lord Varaha had to appear? And then Maitra Muni reveals the entire plot that, okay, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were born. And how they were born? They were born from Diti and Kashyapa Muni. And because of the untimely union. Right. As a result, demons were born from Kashyapa Muni, who is Prajapati. Right. Who is a Prajapati. And later on, we see that in that same demon family, when a devotee is born, Prahlad Maharaj, in subsequent chapters, will hear about the pastimes of the appearance of Lord Varaha, the Lord Nrsingadev, right, in various chapters of the canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, right, and ultimately Srimad Bhagavatam is filled with the pastimes of the Lord's appearance and his devotees. And ultimately, in the glorification of his devotee, the Lord is glorified that, oh, how devotional service is so powerful. That just clinging onto the devotional service, a devotee makes his life glorious. Right. Okay. So let's have some discussion here. Are there any questions?
Madhupati Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So can we say that whatever happened between Mother Diti and a Kashyap Muni,
Yeah.
that was also a Supreme Personality's, the Godhead's plan? Because whatever happened to the Jai and Vijay, and they decided, can we understand that way or no?
No, that's it. Not even a blade of grass can move without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. That's one understanding, right? So yes, there's always a plan that Jay and Vijay were cursed by the four Kumaras and they had to take birth. So not that, Kashyapa Muni, who's the grandson of Lord Brahma, um, no, and Mother Diti, they are Romans. How come they have all this lusty desire? So no, no. So there's a plan, but through that plan, the Lord glorifies. Ultimately, the Lord appears, right? Lord appears as Barhadev, the Lord appears as Narsingadev. And every day we chant Narsinga prayers, right? So yes, you're right. Nothing happens without a plan. But to that plan, also a message is passed of the importance of proper sanskars, proper time for everything. Is that all right?
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam Prabhu.
Dhanavad Pranama Guru Prabhu.
All Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, you told that 16 daughter of Daksha,
Yeah.
13 daughter to Kasyapa Muni,
Yes.
and one Sati is to Bhagavan Shiva, to Shiva, and other two daughter, Prabhu, where they go, where they married?
Wow, wonderful. Why did the other two daughters get married? I'll have to do that research.
Yes. Prabhu, another thing, Prabhu, Kasyapa Muni, so progenitor of the Devata means demigods and Daityas,
Demons. Yeah.
demons, and also progenitor of the birds, snakes, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, all this creation comes through various aspects, right? So Kashyapa Muni, as you mentioned, we had 13 wives, of which Diti is one of them. Then we have Aditi. Aditi is the mother of the demigods. She was also born
Yes.
from Kashyapa Muni, right? And the demons were born from Diti, right? So similarly, the other creation is there, right? The insects, the reptiles, this, that, all these other living entities are born, right? Yeah, not that they're born from human union.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that means that Garuda's mother is not the wife of Kasyapa Muni, right?
Garuda's mother is not the wife of Kashyapa Muni. Yeah, I'll have to go back to that. But yeah, I'll have to go back to those pastimes.
Okay, Prabhu, no problem. Hari Bol Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam. Dhanavad Pranam to everyone.
There are, just like, I'm lately hearing about the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. We see Ravana was, his father's name was Vishrava, and his father's name was Pulatsya. His father's name was Lord Brahma. Right. So Pulatsya is also, he has no, it's also a good heritage. Similarly, it's Garuda and similarly, those pastimes could be there. What I'll have to we have this genealogy chart of Srimad Bhagavatam that to be more nicely described.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, very good.
Please accept my obeisance for to Prabhupada. Thank you for the class, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Ashap Muni. Muni means someone who's very learned.
Yes.
Now, of course, he also is a jiva, so you can make mistakes. And as you explained Krishna's plans and so forth. So to Jaiprakash Prabhu's question that everything is Krishna's plan.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a double whammy in the sense we have our own free will. So if I surrender to Krishna's plan, then it is basically a karma. What I'm doing, it's an act of devotional service.
Yeah.
But then if I don't, then it is karma and birth, death, whatever. So in case of Kashyap Muni, was there any karma involved? Because end of the day, in spite of all his knowledge and all that, it was so arranged by Krishna that he wasn't able to say no. So how does this work?
The karma is always involved, just like in our cases, also karma is involved. And because of karma, we act in some way. But when we act in some way, isn't that also a Krishna's plan? When we say that a blade of grass does not move without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. So yes, we have this minute independence of free will. But because of our consciousness, we would execute our free will in certain direction, certain way. Right. Just like we see here, Kashyapa Muni and Madhupati, ultimately we see in that particular arrangement, weakness is there on both sides. One who has a desire and another who yields to the desire. Right? Ultimately giving rise. So yes, in one sense, it's Krishna's plan, but Krishna's plan is that ultimately, they will yield to that desire. Will be approached. So from that angle, it's Krishna's plan. But would they be affected by karma? Yes. There are some plans by which to the devotees of the Supreme Lord, the Yogamaya potency of the Supreme Lord. Just what we see in previous chapters, we see this entire pastime of Lord Brahma being attracted to his own daughter, Vak. Right? Where the Yogamaya potency of the Supreme Lord gets involved. But ultimately, to the devotees of the Supreme Lord, the Lord glorifies. That he pulls out all these passages, right? In Lord Brahma's case, a passage there, one should not be in a secluded place with opposite gender. Right. So similarly, in this particular case, a passage, the more message is passed that how life has to be more regulated, how this important time of progeny is so important. The Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that I myself am sex when it is done in proper consciousness. Right. For the progeny. It's a message which is passed on. The Supreme Lord. Yeah. Is that okay, Amitabh Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu. So I was just trying to understand will of God, Krishna, and the free will and the consequences thereof.
Yeah.
So he makes the plan, and it's up to us whether to obey his plan or not to obey his plan.
Yeah.
And if we obey his plan, no karma. And if we do not obey, there is karma. But then in one sense, it is a person who is the devotee, means in true definition of the word devotee. He really doesn't care karma, akarma, vikarma, in the sense, as long as it is service for Krishna, like that example of gopis who gave the dust of their feet to put on Krishna's head for his headache.
That is our karma.
That is a karma, but they really didn't consider that, it's a karma. So.
Yeah, so you're right in that particular mold, Amitabh, that yes, there's a reason behind everything. Philosophically, we can describe those reasons that, okay, they are performing completely devotional service in that mode. So that's our karma. When we dissect that particular person, but yes, when they themselves are doing, they don't even care about it. If we have to go to hell, no problem. So far, it is curing the headache of Lord Krishna. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We won't put the dust of our feet on the Lord. Right. But when the gopis hear about that, they scrape with dust. Oh, it's going to cure Krishna's headache. So they are in that advanced consciousness that each and every moment they are thinking about the Supreme Lord. Right. So it's completely a karma. When we further philosophize that, what directions fall into, which category it falls into, karma, vikarma, or akarma, it completely falls into the category of akarma. Each and every pastime of the acts of gopis fall in the akarma category, completely for the Supreme Lord.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks.
Okay, it's 7:04. Thank you very much. We had some nice discussion. Thank you very much. We wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead and week ahead. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting 3 times Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Shingo, Jaya Shingo, Jaya Shingo, Jaya Padma, Ugravidam Mahavishnutam Sarvatam
Sarvatam
Narsimham Narsim Bhagwan ki Jai.
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 Yes, our humble obeisances at the request of all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Madhupati ki
Jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari 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 Bol. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Madhupati.
Everybody, Hari Bol.
Prabhupada.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone.